What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Joey Womack again, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, coming to you with another amazing episode of Prequel, origin stories and inflection points. And you are in for an absolute treat today. You get to hear the origin stories or the journey of some awesome founders as they go on to start their companies. So a little bit about why origin stories are important to Goodie Nation. At Goodie Nation, we are focused on what we call the relationship gap. Now, this is the lack of connection between entrepreneurs and those that are influential in business, particularly in tech, right? And what we've seen is that diverse founders and social entrepreneurs from all backgrounds typically experience the relationship gap at a larger clip than their counterparts. Now, what that means is that they typically have less access to financial capital, which a lot of people talk about, right? But it also means they have lack of access to things like talent, coaches for advice, and customers, which all leads to higher levels of stress for these entrepreneurs. Or said a little bit differently, it lowers the chances of them being successful. And we don't want that, right? So at Goodie Nation, we believe that by helping to tell their origin stories and giving them a platform to do so, starts to develop a relationship with you so that you can help them in their journey to be successful. I think today you'll hear and you'll see a little bit of yourself in their stories. And, at the end, I actually have a call to action for you and stuff like that. But enough from me. Let's really get into the founders. So what we're going to do is some quick intros before we start the story. So first, I want to kick it off to Lili, Rodeline, and Nicole for some quick intros.
Thank you, Joey. We're excited to be here. My name is Lili Caruso, and I'm the co-founder of The Layered Onion. The Layered Onion is a benefit corporation supporting artists with mental health challenges with the goal of eliminating the stigma of mental health. And we do this through creating opportunities for artists to get their work seen and make an income, make a living wage from selling their work.
Awesome. Rodeline?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Joey. So my name is Rodeline Joseph, and I am the founder of Medsembly, which is a digital mentorship-driven career resource tool that connects students that want to get into healthcare to professionals in their field. Thank you.
Nice. Nicole?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Rufuku. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Goji. We're building the personalized e-commerce customer service layer. We believe that search and scroll e-commerce is dying and we will replace it. And I am calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. Jamie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Sgarro. I'm the co-founder and executive director at InReach. We're a nonprofit providing the world's first tech platform, matching LGBTQ people with state-verified resources. And I'm calling in from Boston, Massachusetts.
Awesome. Joseph?
Hey, my name is Dr. Joseph Olowe. We are co-founder and CEO of DoktorConnect. We're providing two very simple things that is most needed in Africa. We're giving people access to a wellness check and telemedicine platform for 1 year for less than $100. And we've put a solution together to take care of how to help them take care of malaria from the cost of $12-15 to about $5. And I'm headquartered in El Paso, and I'm calling from El Paso today.
Awesome. And Brian?
Yep. My name is Brian Douglas, aka B Dougie on the internet, and based out here in Oakland, California, working on this founder and CEO of OpenSauced, OpenSauced.pizza, which is empowering the best developers to work in open source through insights and recommendations. Happy to be here.
Cool. So let's get to these stories. I'm super excited today. Lili, we're going to start with you. What's your story? How'd you get here?
Okay, so I forgot to say where I'm based out of. I'm based out of Brooklyn, New York, but I was born in a suburb of Madison, Wisconsin, and that's where the Layered Onion is headquartered is Madison, Wisconsin. So I guess the reason that I'm here is that artists with mental health challenges is something that I identify with. Since I was young, like I've always been very creative, in many different practices. The first kind of thing I got into was writing, then I get into photography, digital art, things like that. Now I'm kind of in textiles and sculpture. But I also have lived experience with mental health challenges basically for my entire life. So not until I was like 25 maybe is when I actually started getting help and seeing therapy and like having a care team that was able to assist me. Up until that point, it was like very difficult for me to do life, honestly. So after I was able to get that care, I realized that, you know, maybe my creative practices were helping me in a way, like they were an outlet and they were allowing me to explore these different things that was going on within me. But there was never like a career or a way to make money in that way. And making money is like, obviously for everyone is the way that we can exist currently in this earth. So it was just really difficult. And let's see. So that's like a little bit about my personal stuff. Once I was 25, I kind of became a little bit more stable. I had support. I had a community. I had just like stable housing. I had a job. So things were really turning around for me in this way that I felt like I could look back and like bring other people up with me, because I'm like, I totally know what it's like to be in this position of just like sitting and staring at the wall, or like having these like manic episodes where you just like, I don't know, go missing or something for days. So I'm in like this really stable place. My co-founder, Linda Scythe, who y'all heard from on another episode, she called me. I've known her since I was a child. So we grew up in the suburbs, like I said, so like two little houses next to each other. And she was my neighbor. So she's known me for my entire life. And she called me in 2021. Yeah, 2021. And she's like, hey, I have this idea. Like being an artist is really challenging, right? Even if you don't have mental health challenges, you have to market yourself. You have to advertise. You have to constantly be like promoting your content. And maybe that's taking away from the craft and taking away from the work that you could be in the studio. And so she called me and she's like, what do you think about creating a network of people and a community of other people with lived experience, and like really bridging the gap between the arts and mental health, and also like kind of educating other people about the stigma of mental health. Like when I was working in startups in New York, you still can't really like call in sick to have a mental health day. Like you're not really there's not like a comfort level that says like it's okay that you just can't today. And so fighting that stigma is also very important to me. So she called me, and I was working in like I said, I've been working in a few companies here in the city, and I was like early hire, kind of scrappy, like wearing many hats, so they say. And I'm like, let's do this. Let's set up weekly meetings. Let's build this thing. And yeah, so we've been at it for a year and a half. Pause there, because after we started building this, it was like I took my own experience, which was an obvious choice for me to pursue this. And then I looked at all the other things that I've really been interested in and passionate about in my life, and where I've gravitated towards in my free time, or like picking up jobs or volunteering in ways that I'm like, it all converges into this thing that just really makes sense, that this is where I'm at right now. I've always been interested in supporting the arts. Early when I was here in the city, like very into theater and off Broadway or off. Like that was a big chunk of my life. Being out and being in the community and getting to know people that like live in my neighborhood. And then I started working with these two twin sisters who are a part of the disabled community, who have cerebral palsy. And one of them is a working artist. And I worked with her in her studio at Pure Vision Arts, which is a art studio in Manhattan dedicated to supporting artists with developmental disabilities and autism. And it was only when I was able to reflect on all of these experiences and all these things that I've done that I'm like, yeah, that pretty much aligns perfectly the reason that I'm here and that I'm doing what I'm doing. And like probably similar to Joey and everyone at the Goodie Nation community, like every day meeting and talking to artists that have lived experience and that know what it's like that's the best part of my day. And yeah, I guess, is there anything else I should include about my story? I'm also queer, so that's really important to me too. Like the intersection of all these things really makes sense. And I feel like my queer identity combined with my mental health experience, combined with like other identities, it informs so much of what I do now and how I relate to people and like how I can talk to people and have an understanding for our community, and also like advocating for myself and my experience and being able to extend that to people who maybe are like, don't share these underrepresented qualities. So that's also really important to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
Awesome. Yeah, it does feel good, right? When you're working with people every day that are just like you and share similar stories. It's an amazing feeling. And kudos to you for the work that you all are doing. How can people get in contact with you if they want to join the community or support or anything like that?
TheLayeredOnion.com is our website. Check it out. We have artist interviews, and you can join our community. You can become a sustaining supporter. We're active on Instagram at The Layered Onion, or I guess you can email me, Lili, Lili, at thelayeredonion.com.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Amazing story. So now I want to kick it over to Rodeline. Rodeline, what's your story? How'd you get here?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm actually calling in from Metro Atlanta. Forgot to mention that earlier. So I always like to start by saying that I am non-technical. I'm a first-time founder. Unlike many people, I didn't have the entrepreneur spirit. I have a strictly healthcare background, and I started in healthcare at age 17 in high school. I come from a very strict household. My parents are from the islands, and being from the islands, they were just like, you're going to be a doctor, or a lot of them also say, you're going to be a lawyer or engineer, because many times they, that's all they really know, and they go with careers that are known to provide job security, and because they're coming from a third world country. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor, and they put me in a magnet program to become a nurse to get experience, to then become a doctor. And it was very it was amazing, like one of the best experiences ever, because I was like a teenager and like working in the hospital. So from there, I then went on to college. Of course, I graduated. When I graduated high school, I got my practical nursing license to work as a nurse. So I worked throughout college. I went to the University of Florida, and actually my first semester in college, reality set in, and I just had a really hard time passing classes. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be a doctor. And my whole college experience was just kind of feeling lost and not knowing where I'm going to go and what my career path is going to be. And spent a lot of time exploring different careers, failing, trying to do that, changing my major. I changed it 3 times. And then it was finally my senior year, actually, that I decided to do PA after after noticing PAs rounding on patients at the nursing home that I worked at and doing research and finding that it just aligned with a lot of the classes I already had and, the experiences that I had. And I went and was just like, if this is meant to be, it's going to be, I'm just going to do this. And so I went to PA school and then I was like the only Black woman in my PA program. And then, that I had to deal with that struggle. And it wasn't even like PA school being really hard. It was just like, the mental challenge of being an only and being in a class and kind of having to navigate that and realizing that, in healthcare, that's kind of just how it's going to be or just how it is right now. And so then I became a PA and was working and then went through the challenges of being a new grad and being in healthcare, which is a really, tough profession to be in. I work in emergency medicine. So working in the ER was just another struggle. And through all that, like I just have a natural love of mentoring and helping students. And so I would always take whatever I learned and knew and my experiences and share it on to others, specifically students that I found that had similar experiences as I did. But I really realized the magnitude of like mentorship and helping students and the gap that and challenges students face, specifically as they transitioned into healthcare, which was similar to what I faced like 10 years ago. During really the pandemic, I feel like, for a lot of us, the pandemic brought a lot of things to surface. And so these students would reach out to me after I started hosting virtual shadowing. So to get into a lot of healthcare programs, you need to shadow a provider, which basically means to follow a provider around. And I started offering that, but then students would reach out to me afterwards and tell me their stories and, the difficulties they were having with classes and, failing this, trying to figure out how to do that, trying to get credits, trying to get your prerequisites and everything right to be a great applicant. And like I said, it really mirrored my journey. And then I realized, I, did some further digging, talking to students, talking to schools, and even talking to my friends. I realized the shortcomings with career resource centers and college advisors. And because I would wonder, like, why are they coming to me? Why are they not going to their colleges, that they paid tons of money to attend? So I found that like career resource centers are just underutilized, and counselors and advisors, they're generalists and are not necessarily trained in the profession that these students want to pursue. So, and the best way to really learn about a profession that you want to get into is from the person that does it all day, every day, right? So these students really found value and the information and insight that I provided to them. And so after, just helping, I helped probably over 100 students on my own before I actually created the technology. That's when I really was just like, oh, I need to help these students. I need to figure out a way to streamline this. And, incorporating technology was just like, a no-brainer. So I set out to do that. I first created like a no-code platform with Google's, not Google, it was a Google Sheets, but it was Glide Apps. And then finally launched like the MVP to the app stores in April. And from, launching then, I was, grateful to get accepted into Techstars. I'm really happy about that. I have a great Techstars family. A few of my classmates are in Goodie Nation as well. And also now working on like more so the B2B aspect of, having Medsembly as a resource to schools to augment their, advising and career resource centers, because, we're connecting the students with the professionals and with the resources that are really going to provide them the insight and tools to help them succeed as they transition into their careers. So yeah, super excited. Have secured, a pilot with an amazing school. I'm going to make an announcement soon about that. And just working with schools and organizations, partnerships, really working to change, the future for students. So thank you.
Awesome. So how can people get in contact with you? If they're a student or they're a school?
Yes, so you can reach us at medsembly.com and at Medsembly on all social platforms. And also my LinkedIn is just Rodeline Joseph to connect.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. I want to kick it over to Nicole. Nicole, what's your story?
Hi, everyone. So first I have to apologize in advance for a little bit of background noise. I'm calling from a very lively Atlanta right now. So my story starts back in Rwanda. So I was born in Africa. I was there for 7 years with my family before we immigrated to the Midwest. So I was actually raised in Indiana. So when I went to University of Michigan, and I thought that I was going to go into finance, right? So my story is really, I think the two biggest themes that I would really stress with my story is that it is all about kind of like being really, really honest about, what your passion is, listening to yourself and listening to your gut about what really brings you to life. And for me, I was a finance major, I was an accounting major in Michigan Business School, and I thought I was going to Wall Street, right? So, but I interviewed with Microsoft kind of as a last minute thing, just because I was curious, and I fell in love with it. So I trusted my gut. I went to Seattle, and probably like not that far into my job, I kind of started to get interested in product rather than finance. And eventually I left Microsoft, went over to New York, and I really just kind of dove into the startup scene and the tech scene. And, I had a couple small startups, and, worked for big companies, small companies, and really dabbled around. The one thing that I do want to stress, though, I don't want it to seem like it was such a perfect journey and I had such a great career. It might look like it for my resume, but there were a lot of challenges, and I want to be honest about that. I'm a high performer. I'm very ambitious. I've got a big personality, and I think like in corporate America, especially, that's really tough for Black women. That's a tough space and a tough persona for Black women to really own. And my experience was that, even though I learned so much, and I delivered so much value and met some incredible people along the way, the corporate environment, I felt like was very unsafe for me. I was bullied, I was undermined, it was not a great experience. And so, eventually I kind of went off on my own. I already had built like a great reputation, a strong community, a strong network. And it was another moment where I trusted myself and I trusted my gut. And I looked at my reality and I said, I want to work for myself. And that's when I kind of went off as a freelance consultant, and I did product management and product strategy independently, right?
Hey, Nicole, can you hear me? I think maybe having some audio issues with Nicole, or connection issues with Nicole. So hey, Nicole, Nicole, you there? I think you're experiencing some connection issues. Okay, so let's do this. Nicole, can you? Yeah, I don't think she can hear us. Let's do this. Okay, Jamie, can you hear me, or is it just want to make sure it's okay? Okay, let's do this. So Jamie, can you want to go ahead and start telling your origin story and stuff? I'm going to try to get in contact with Nicole.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right.
I can go. You'll hear me?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So I co-founded my organization actually when I was a senior in college. So I'm not someone who ever thought I was going to found a nonprofit, definitely let alone an LGBTQ rights focused nonprofit. So basically, long story short, one of my best friends in college, we formed a friendship, and through that friendship, he told me about his own personal experience coming to America from a country where it still has the death penalty to be gay. So he came to America to seek LGBTQ asylum, to live authentically. And he told me about, really struggling to know where it was safe to go for help when he arrived. So everything from where can I find free legal help for my asylum application, but also as an LGBTQ person, where can I go that's safe for medical, mental health, education, employment, housing, and all these other social service needs that one would have. And so his story just really resonated with me as a trans man from a conservative background. So together we co-founded what was formerly known as Asylum Connect, which started as the world's first tech platform designed for LGBTQ people specifically seeking asylum. So we ran Asylum Connect for about 4 years, entirely volunteer run, before we got something called the 2019 Roddenberry Fellowship, which is when I hired myself full-time to lead the organization. We recently rebranded to what we now call InReach because over the years, we've just seen our tech platform be used by a wide variety of LGBTQ plus people, in addition to those seeking asylum. I even used the free app myself during my own transition when I was 26 to find legal help, medical help, mental health services. So since then, we've scaled the free tech platform to list over 7,000 verified services across all 50 US states, DC, and US territories. It's also live in Canada and Mexico. So our goal is really to ensure that every LGBTQ plus person, no matter your immigration status, your gender identity, your sexual orientation, or your race or ethnicity, really finds the safe services that can help you to achieve authenticity.
Nice. And congratulations on the Roddenberry Fellowship. So if people want to get in contact with you, support or anything like that, how can they do so?
So our website's just inreach.org, and on social media, you can follow us at We Are InReach.
Awesome. Good stuff. Now I want to kick it over to Joseph to hear your origin story.
Hello, Goodie Nation. Thanks for having us here. My name is Joseph Olowe. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, like the young lady from Medsembly. I'm from Africa background, especially from Nigeria. Parents tell you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and unfortunately, I disappointed them. I didn't go to medicine. I went to physical therapy, but has been one of the best decisions of my life. So I came into the United States in 1993 at the age of 23 to get a job, to have a job with one of the best hospitals in El Paso, Texas. So, and I know all along that I wanted to give something back because going to med school program, taking my med program there, I see firsthand the problem with situation in Nigeria. I see the few problems that we had back then. We have a problem with our healthcare facilities. We don't have enough. I see firsthand the problem there that we don't have enough healthcare facility across Africa as a whole. To bridge that gap, we need about $82 billion investment. We have poor health efficiency in Nigeria, low doctor to patient ratio 1 to 5,000 compared to US 1 to 350 people. We have high rate of preventable deaths that is killing us like crazy, and 70% of Nigeria lives in the rural area. But the good news is that is very powerful is that out of 200 million people in Nigeria, there are about 140 people that have access to internet or a smart device or one way or the other connected to the grid, to the social media grid. So we saw that was great and powerful. So in 2019, COVID hit and was doing a lot of damage. And the aha moment came to me that I have to go back and do something. So we went back and decided to take care of two main problems. Like I said initially, the life expectancy in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, it's about 51.5, where it barely moved up to about 50. It ranges between 51 and 55 for female and male, compared to the US between 78 years to 80, compared to Japan that is about 89, 90 years. So we very, very high preventable diseases are killing us. So we set out to accomplish two goals. How can we reduce this life expectancy? How can we bring it up? Number two, how can we help people from getting sick from just something as simple as malaria? I digress a little bit. When I was in Nigeria, every year I go to the hospital 4 times a year for malaria, getting hospitalized, and that is a lot of money in Nigeria to somebody to my parents. We don't have insurance. Everybody have to pay for their own healthcare in Nigeria. So it was becoming very burdensome. So we set out to do two things. Number one, we were able to curate a battery of tests, and which will help people seek help before they become sick. Because in the world, even in the United States, the system we are practicing is sick care. You have to be sick before you come see the doctor. So we wanted to flip medicine on its head, and we wanted to make sure that you get help, you get taken care of, you get to see a doctor, and then you don't become sick to get care. You get care because you are well, and we want to keep you well. And we're able to put this test together and combine with telemedicine for less than $100 a year. They will be able to get a test that will give them about 140 data point. And with that data point, if they are on any problem, if they have any problem that is detected, which is they come in once a year. You don't have to come every day. Come once a year. We get that test done at different wellness hubs. And from there, you have access to telemedicine for 1 year for less than $100. I mean, it's been a gangbuster. People have been breaking and signing up because you get to know your body. You get to know what is going on in your body. And you get to work with a doctor, licensed physician on our platform. We have about 30 doctors right now on our platform, and you're able to talk to a doctor firsthand. They're able to give you medication. We have 1,400 pharmacies on our network that can deliver medication to your doorstep. So combined with that, people are getting help, and they're getting healthier for less than $100. And then we did one powerful thing. We're now able to provide buy now, pay later. So you don't even have to pay that $100 one time. You could pay that over 6 months. You could pay that over 12 months, because we partner with a company called Carbon in Nigeria. So we just want to make it easy for you to get help. Now, what is the second thing that we're trying to do? Like I told you initially, I said I go to the hospital 4 times a year to treat malaria. Last year, in 2020, according to WHO, over 200 million Nigerians were affected. Over 200 million people in the world were affected with malaria. 60 million of those people were from Nigeria. And out of that, we have 120,000 deaths. Can you imagine this day and age that malaria is still killing people? Yes, malaria kills us every year in Nigeria. Now, the cost of treating malaria is between $15 and $20 each time. Now, imagine somebody whose monthly income is $1 a day. You're getting like $1 a day. You're getting like $30-40 a month. Now somebody is asking you to pay $15 out of that to take care of malaria. It's either you take care of malaria or you go without food. So now we've been able, with our solution, we've been able to curate a solution with the NAFDAC approval, which is the FDA of Nigeria. We've been able to design a home test. With that home test, you are now able to test yourself at home. You are now able to connect with our telemedicine platform to see a doctor once the test is done. Then you are now able to get the medication once the consultation is done on our platform. You are now able to see a doctor on that platform, and you are able to get your medication delivered to your doorstep. See this, we're able to bring that cost down from about $20 to about $5. And that is a wow. And these are very, very home tests that have 98% sensitivity and reliability. And you're able to speak to a licensed doctor, and you're able to get authentic medication all at the comfort of your home without leaving anywhere. Unlike before, you have to go. And then we have a network of hospitals that we have unpicked and work with. If we see situations that we cannot take care of, then we refer that to the hospital. We are at the revenue stage right now, and we have about $400,000 so far this year in revenue. And one of the things that I was so proud of, so we did all of that there. and then we came to the United States, and we pitched to the NIH, which is National Institute of Health. We wanted them to take a look at our wellness program to see what it is. We have so much feedback from some of the program directors from the NIH that we are asked to submit a proposal. We're asked to submit a proposal to the NIH, which we did September 5 from our awareness side. Then, as if that was not enough, we made a pitch to National Science Foundation about our technology, not to take care of malaria, but how to help people with wellness, combining that with a lot of things. And we've been invited by National Science Foundation to submit a full proposal, which we'll be submitting in October 2026, which is this coming month. So we are excited. We're over the moon. A lot of great things are happening on our platform right now. We have over 20,000 people, over 40,000 people on our platform that is using our solution currently. Thank you. If you want, if you want to get hold of me, there are 4 ways you can get hold of me. You can get hold of me or our company, my Joseph at Josmol Group, Joseph JOSEPH at Josmol JOSMOL group.com. You can look me up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is Dr. Joseph Olowe on LinkedIn. We have our full deck on Pitch VC, and you can go on our website to look at our website www.DoktorConnect.com. Thank you, Goodie Nation, for this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. So when you said a few things, one, when you said like what 20 down to 5, I was like, wow, and then you said wow too. Secondly, those stats are staggering around life expectancy, around the number of people with malaria and stuff. So just thank you for the work that you are doing. And and I'll kind of get to this later around how people can support. Brian, want to kick it to you for your origin story.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, I mean, all the starts in 2008 when I graduated college, got a finance degree, and thought I was going to go into finance as well. Turns out that was a recession, so I didn't get in finance. I ended up taking a sales job, just trying to got a finance degree because I grew up with no money. Just wanted to learn how money works. So I learned that, and then I took a sales job doing networking equipment, and got promoted twice in 2 years. Did that about 4 years in total. And at that point, I was promoted, getting my MBA, and expecting my first kid at the same time. And my kid came 11 weeks early. So we spent 11 weeks in the hospital in the neonatal NICU, just sort of waiting for him to grow up and make sure there was no issues. And he's alive and healthy today, 9 years old. And so I mentioned that because during that time, I ended up teaching myself how to code in the hospital. I had an idea for an app, ended up building it. I was getting my MBA to be an entrepreneur. Thought I was going to start my own business back in 2013, and took another pivot into full-time engineering. Once I learned how to code and built my own app, I learned that you get paid way more as a junior engineer than what I was getting with my sales base pay. So made the jump to full-time engineering. And at that time, I learned a ton of how to build my app using open source software and Googling and Stack Overflow. And I joined a community as a co-founder called Steamroll, where we wanted to connect underrepresented folks in tech and like-minded individuals, and just make that sort of strong network connection. I was a technical lead, so we created a Slack group, as you did back in the day. I created a sort of bot to auto-invite people in the Slack, because at that time, you had to manually invite people through email. But the way I built that, I actually used open source. I found a solution on GitHub, and I had no idea how to use server-side JavaScript. So I reached out to the person who created it and put it up on GitHub directly via email. And to my surprise, they responded to all my answers. They mentored me into how to write JavaScript and next level JavaScript back in 2015 at this time. And that's when everything clicked, where I learned how to code. I built an entire mobile app while in the hospital, and then eventually built this community through open source. I spent my entire career, 2008 finance, had no network, no connections to get in there. Ended up taking the sales job, eventually made connections to grow my career. And I discovered that open source was like the secret sauce, if you will, of how to level up as an engineer. And there's a lot of limitations and like misconceived conceptions around open source. We have to do it free nights and weekends. I've only done open source at work my entire career, aside from this like steamroll Slack community. And in the same vein, like if I mentioned a story around if you wanted to get the NBA and you found that LeBron was doing pickup games across the street, like you would be there. You'd be there at 6 a.m. ready to go with your shoes laced up. And I think open source is the same way, where you can spar with some of the best engineers in the entire world. And that's a place that I've seen multiple people get jobs at Facebook and Amazon and Google through open source contributions. My actual origin story for my company is back in 2016, I wanted to actually level up my open source contribution. So I created a CRM tool called OpenSauced to manage my contributions. And it was just a tool for myself. I spent a lot of time working on it on my own. And then I got the opportunity to speak at a GitHub Universe, which is a conference run by GitHub, the home for open source. From that conference, I actually spoke about OpenSauced and how I leveraged a GitHub GraphQL API to build what I was teaching myself, and which is open source. I was offered a job to work at GitHub and spent the past 4.5 years working with open source maintainers and learning how they use GitHub and what limitations they had. And from there, back in 2020, when everyone went remote, I was remote already, but started thinking about OpenSauced and what I had built so far. And at that point, never built a login. So I then spent the past 2 years bootstrapping OpenSauced, built a login, invited a community to join me and learn open source together. And then as of 3 months ago, I've been full-time working on this problem. And the problem itself is like, we're now not just sort of tracking our own contributions, we're discovering and recommending places to make contributions. We're now connected and partnered through customers, through open source companies that are doing open source, and providing insights on how they could do open source better. So that's OpenSauced in a nutshell. It's the intelligence platform for open source. And I'm looking forward to rubbing shoulders with other folks, and happy to share my story.
Awesome. So how can people get in contact with you?
You can find me BDougie everywhere on the internet, BDougieYo on Twitter. OpenSauced.pizza is our URL. .pizza came out in 2016, and it was a side project, and it's just stuck since then. And we've been doing a YouTube series called The Secret Sauce on YouTube, youtube.com/OpenSauced. And reach out. I'm always happy to answer a DM.
So listen, I had no idea that that pizza was a thing, by the way. So
happy to educate.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now we also have Nicole. Nicole is back. Nicole, your
I'm back.
It was getting good. It was good. I mean, I don't know if you want to start from the beginning.
What was the last thing you heard from me before
For me, it was something along the lines of, you were saying like you didn't want everyone to know that, or like it was like a perfect story, or journey and things of that nature.
Yeah, exactly. So I was saying that when I got to New York, I kind of worked at lots of different companies in the tech space, but like large companies, small companies. And I learned a lot, I kind of developed my skill set, but I have to say that it wasn't perfect. I think that the corporate setting is a really challenging place for Black women, especially Black women with big personalities, a lot of ambition. And for me, it was a lot of bullying, to be honest, a lot of people undermining my success. And eventually I kind of just had enough. By then I already had a really strong network. I had a reputation. And I decided to go kind of off on my own and become an independent consultant. And I started working with mostly startups, so early stage or growth stage companies. And I would work with them, and I would help them like test and develop new ideas. So usually they would come to me and they would say, hey, I've already got this, legacy product, but I want to look, 5 years, 10 years into the future. Can you help me come up with this idea? Can you help me validate this idea? And then we would figure out how to like take what I learned from my work and put it, kind of stream it back into the product team's work. So that was great. I had a lot of fun doing that. And the reason why consulting really worked for me is because I found a sense of safety in consulting that I didn't in the corporate world. I really felt that I could kind of like stay away from the politics and a lot of the cultural realities that make life really difficult for women and people of color in those environments. So that's why kind of consulting worked for me. And I think it's important for people to understand that there are many people who don't thrive in the corporate environment. And it's not because they don't have the skill set, it's because the corporate environment in some ways like rejects them. So that's one thing. But eventually I had my daughter, and it was a while ago, and I realized that as a working mom, I was spending hours and hours every week researching products for her. And I cared about what I bought. I wanted to make sure that everything was safe, everything would fit into, back then I lived in New York in our tiny New York apartment. And it really annoyed me because I thought, I want to spend this time with my daughter. I want to spend this time with my husband. I want to spend this time resting and recovering and, self-care, all that with my friends. And I wanted an answer to that problem, right? So I started to think about, what solution would I want? What solution would solve my problem personally? And so, I thought immediately that I would want to text someone, tell them what I want, and then immediately get great recommendations. So that's when I started thinking about the idea of Goji. And I started out by talking to other moms and validating whether or not they also had the same problem, because I wasn't sure. So I gathered a small community. I eventually also built like a no-code prototype myself. I was basically like texting with other moms and researching products for them. And it was really amazing to see the level of engagement that we got. And, the solution was really working. And that's when I reached out to a friend of mine who is an engineer, and he jumped right in and decided to become, the CTO and my co-founder. And, we've been building it for about a year. And now we're at a point where we're kind of shifting from a product focus to a growth focus. So I recently hired a marketing team that I'm really excited about. And we also recently completed the AWS Accelerator, which was just incredible. I mean, it was their first impact accelerator for Black founders. And, the most exciting and powerful aspect of it was that I got to meet lots of other entrepreneurs who were, a couple years ahead of me or at the same stage as me. And that was just so inspiring. And it was exactly what we needed in that moment. And now, we are focused on revenue, and we've actually kind of just discovered like a B2B revenue opportunity for us, because we've been really B2C focused until then. So, I'm excited that, in my past, in my career, I've built a lot of incredible products. I've worked with some amazing founders. I've made a lot of other people a lot of money. And I am excited to finally, bet on myself and really commit to myself, my vision, and build a company that doesn't just change things in terms of like e-commerce and, shopping, making shopping better. I want to build a company that really, does things differently. I want to build a safe environment. I want my startup to be a different way to show the entire tech community and beyond that you can build a big, incredible, powerful, successful business, and you can do it in a way that is like healthy and actually supportive and loving. And I think Goodie Nation really aligns with those values. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. And if anybody wants to connect, I am our site is at gojishop.io. Sign up, text with us. And I can be found on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the best place to reach out to me. Just find me, Nicole Rufuku. We're also on Instagram at hey.goji. So connect with us. It's a fun brand. It's a fun experience. Can't wait to see you.
Awesome. I love it. So listen, everyone, I said you'll be in for a treat, and you got a treat. Like, super diverse group of amazing humans, amazing founders that are doing some amazing things right? They gave you an opportunity to reach out to them. They gave you contact points and things of that nature. And so I'm going to take it a step further and say, let's be intentional. Let's be intentionally good about supporting them. So when I say let's be intentionally good, what does that mean, right? There's a few ways you can support. Support is a verb. And recently I was on a panel with Dr. Key Hallman from Village Market. She says all the time, support is a verb. Action, right? You can support it, I think, in one of a few ways. One, you can invest. Many of them are raising money, or they will be soon. You can invest in them. Or you can become a customer or a user, right? They gave you opportunity to log onto the website or reach out to them on social media or email. You could also connect them, or you essentially can help to tell their story. If you're a journalist or a storyteller, you can tell their story, or you can simply just hit the share button or retweet or whatever. You can email your connections about them, right? But if you can't do any of that, I'm pretty sure that someone in your network can. Someone in your network can. So my ask is that you spend about 30 minutes total thinking about how each of these founders, maybe one or two of them, you can support through some of the ways I said earlier. You can invest, you can become a customer or a user, you can help to tell their story. And then again, if you can't do that, you can think about who in your network can, right? If you do something like that 1 month for 6 straight months, we go from action to habit to behavior. And if you get more of your friends and your networks to do this as well, it turns into a culture around supporting diverse founders and social entrepreneurs from all backgrounds. Again, this is what we call being intentionally good. And these amazing people are making the world a better place. So let's help them out. You can actually also go to the Goodie Nation website, the URL listed on the bottom of the screen, and find out even more about them. There's a card there. You can click on their picture. Or have access to their website, to their LinkedIn profile, and things of that nature, and also an introduction link, a warm intro link to get in contact with them as well. So please share this episode, share information about these amazing founders, try to figure out a way to help. This has been another awesome episode of Prequel Origin Stories and Inflection Points by Goodie Nation. I am Joey Womack. We'll see you at the next episode. Peace out, y'all.